Excellent. So we have talked about grounding before meditation. We've talked about connecting with your teachers and Buddhas, Bodhisattvas to help your practice. Today I want to share a technique that is excellent for when you have a recurring thought pattern that keeps interrupting. This is the energetic release of past relationships. And when I say relationships, I don't mean just the relationships you've had with other people. That's one type of relationship. But we are in a relative world. So everything exists in relation to us, including past versions of ourselves. So sometimes we get caught in a memory of an experience that we had at some point. And maybe we settle into meditation and then all of a sudden it's there in our face. Sometimes we might have a recurring worry that appears. And if we sit and do the work and we contemplate, where is this coming from? What is going on? We see the attachment beneath that worry and how it arose through causes and conditions from the past. So we can actually use this technique to unhook these things. There might be a personal relationship that ended and that person keeps popping up, and maybe it's the things that you see that remind you of that person, and now they're there and but the relationship is not, so now you have this energetic thing happening. So this can be a way to process the energy behind that relationship and release it. And as I said, it goes for any type of experience. Maybe you had an accident. I did this one for when I was about 9 years old. I broke my jaw. It was very traumatic. I lost my teeth, and of course they were adult teeth. It was that age where you're just, have some baby teeth, some adult teeth, but of course it was adult teeth. And it impacted changed the whole trajectory of my life. So there was a lot of energy behind that. And so this technique allowed me to release a lot of that heaviness, a lot of that process, a lot of that energy that was still kind of popping up at odd times. So in your mindfulness practice, pay attention to these recurring thoughts that come up. And if it's not something that's current in your present now, then it might be because you have some kind of energetic connection that keeps pulling you back to that moment, back to that energetic configuration. And in order to move on, you have to release it. So this is a technique called recapitulation. And it is best described by an author named Tasha Abelair in The Sorcerer's Crossing. It's an excellent book. So I highly recommend that you read that if you want the full instructions, because this is just going to be, a brief overview. And it's good to keep in mind that when we do these types of energetic releases, most of the time it's not a one and done. Sometimes it is. Sometimes we have a big, I've been lugging this, suitcase of rocks around with me for 20 years and I'm just done with it. And you do the technique, a couple times and then it's it's gone. And then the next time something reminds you of that, the energetic impact isn't there. It's just completely neutralized. It's that it's almost like it happened to somebody else, because you're not that person anymore. You're not carrying that energetic weight. So most of the time, it will require many sessions. And you'll know when it's done. You'll feel a shift where, like I said, you're not, that energetic charge is gone. Now, that being said, we're talking about energetic charge. So you want to be aware of how it's impacting you. This technique does not replace your daily meditation. This is something in addition to, just like the grounding techniques that we do as a preliminary to meditation. This is something that we do extra in addition to our meditation. And if you find that when you do this technique and it brings up this energy and you're unable to kind of compartmentalize it before you finish releasing it, at that point it might be good to get help from an expert like a therapist or somebody that can give you other tools so you're not walking around with a big gaping wound and can make it really hard to function. So this comes with that little warning that you are opening doors in yourself that you need to be ready to actually deal with. Because as you do the technique, that energy is going to come to the forefront of your consciousness, because that's the only place it can be released. You know, it's like we're going in and to the little closets inside our minds and opening them up and clearing out the old stuff, and so it's going to be there in your face. And when we do that, it's very difficult to unknow something, if not impossible. So once you see it, then it's like, oh, now I have to keep going. I have to keep dealing with it until it's completely processed and gone. So number one, depending on the issue, make sure you're ready to actually follow through all the way. Number two, if you get stuck along the way, then reach out and get help from, like I said, a therapist or some kind of, sometimes body work can help. But this type of energetic work clears the field. So what we're doing in Buddhism is we're taking all of these egoic structures that we have worked so hard to build. You know, we've spent our whole lifetime creating ourselves, you know, and we've learned how to function in the world as this self. And then we stumble upon Buddhism, and it's all about dissolving that self. It's all about melting it away. But to do that successfully, you need a cohesive and strong sense of self, which is where, you know, Western psychology can come in very handy, because that can help you develop a strong sense of self, which then you come to somebody like me and I help you melt it. So I just want to make clear what my role is. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a counselor. I'm here to show you the true nature of your mind. But for you to be able to handle that without losing functionality, we have to start with a coherent sense of self. And then we start opening up these doors. We start looking at these attachments, these places where we have dug in our heels and said, this is me. And then we do these practices and you discover, oh, that's not me. There's more to all of this. So, recapitulation. It's involves a bodily movement and focus on the energetics of the experience that you're looking to release. So first, bring to mind something that keeps popping up that you're ready to let go of. It could be, like I said, a personal relationship that is long gone. It could be a memory that still has a high energy charge that just knocks you off balance every time. It might be, a trinket in your house that you really like. It might be, this really pretty picture you like, but it's got like this heavy energy charge because somebody gave it to you, or maybe how you obtained it reminds you of a painful experience. So those are just a few experiences of how you can use this. So bring that to mind. And then we start with the head turned towards the right. And if you have neck issues, only turn your head as far as is comfortable in the movements. This isn't about stretching. This is about using the movement of the neck to move the energy. So just as far as is comfortable, we start on the right, and then holding that, an image of that experience in your mind, you're going to inhale all of the energy from that moment as you turn your head towards the left. And then at the left side, you're going to release any energy you no longer need from that moment as you exhale and turn your head back. And then we inhale again, turning the head, all the energy from that moment. The good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. And then as we turn back, we exhale and release anything that we no longer need. And we do these sweeping movements, inhaling and exhaling. And we'll do this session for as long as we feel needed. And at the end, when we're ready to stop this particular session, we find ourselves back to the right, and then we hold the breath. And we turn the head to the left, and back to the right, and back to center. And in doing so, we snap the line to that moment. So does that make sense? All right. So I'm going to put on some Zazen music, and we can do it for just one song, just to practice it. And again, remember that snapping at the end, because that's how you can shift yourself from processing the energy of that moment and come back to present. So to use the example, when I was working on the energy that was left behind from breaking my face, basically. Obviously, I didn't work through all of that in one session. It took, many, many sessions. So as I went into those moments and those memories, they're very vivid, and I pulled in all the energy, not just mine, but all the people that were there, and then released anything I didn't need anymore. And of course, the first dozen times I didn't process all of it, but I did it for 5 minutes, and then you hold the breath and snap that line that's holding you in that past moment, and then that brings you back to this moment, and it's like closing the closet door that you're working on, with the promise to yourself that, okay, I'll get back to that later. So let's try that.
Can I ask 2 quick questions?
Oh, sure, questions.
The first one is just, what was the ending part again? How to snap back?
Oh, you have your head at the right side and you hold your breath and you turn all the way to the left, still holding the breath, and come back to the right, holding the breath, and then back to the center,
Okay.
and then breathe.
And then the second question is, it's easy, right now it's easy to inhale the stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like the energies of it all. Any tips on like releasing it?
On the exhale, so it's almost like a helpful visual can be if you imagine the energy as a smoke, a colored smoke. So you can look at the symbology of different colors, like green would be for jealousy. So maybe there's something that you feel a lot of jealousy around. So as you're inhaling the energy, you can picture just this green smoke coming in. And then when you exhale, now the green is a brighter, shinier color. So maybe it starts off really dark and heavy as you inhale, and then when you exhale, you actually want to take that energy, and it's a intentional exhaling of the energy. So again, you can visualize a color, and on that exhale, it's very bright and light. I know that might seem counterintuitive sometimes because you think of that. I know there's other practices where it's like, no, I only want to inhale the bright light and then I exhale all the yuckiness. But it actually works better if you inhale the darkness, because now we're acknowledging it and taking responsibility for that energy. And then as we release it, it becomes lighter. It converts back to its pure natural form of energy, where it's not stamped so hard with us. It's simply, this is energy I no longer need. So it's not that, oh, I have to get rid of this.
Yeah.
It's, oh, I'm done carrying this. So thank you for asking that clarification. Yes.
When you're doing the release on the left before the snap at the end, is the release of the breath all to the left, or are you still releasing it as you're moving back to the right?
Yes, you're releasing it the whole time. So from here, so you're inhaling, moving from right to left. Inhale, 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 inhale. And then exhale, 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 exhale. Yes.
Is it better to envision specific instances or individuals or whatever, the energy that you want to deal with? Or can one focus in on, let's say, general themes in a person's in a life?
Well, when you folks start with a theme, what will probably happen is a specific incident will come to mind.
Or perhaps multiple incidents.
Yeah, so
like
that's a great point. So
roles.
That exact thing is why we do multiple sessions. So when that happens, like you said, you might start with a general theme. You might be like, okay, I've got this, recurring theme happening in my life. And so you start with that. And then as the image, a memory, or a person, or a situation appears in your mind, stay with that one situation. Others will pop up too. And then you can be like, okay, yep, have you for later. But let me deal with this one completely. Because that's one of the tricks our mind plays to keep us from totally releasing things. It's like, oh yeah, there was this horrible thing, and then, oh look, there's this other horrible thing, and oh yeah, and then this happened, and then that happened. And by bouncing around like that, we never actually go into the energy behind any of them. We're just touching the surface lightly. So in this practice, we're really going in deep into just that one slice. So like using the bike accident as an example, at first, the first time I did it, it was just the impact and the being stunned. Like I had no idea what happened. It was just, I looked down and my hands are covered in blood. And it was like this. And it was just that. But then as I went deeper, then there was different little segments, like the policeman who took the report telling me he was so impressed because I wasn't crying. It's because I was in shock. And then there was the energy that I experienced of the guilt because it was my fault that it happened, because I was rushing home and didn't wrap my roller skates around my handlebars properly. So I just had the skates like flying in the wind. And so of course one of them's going to go in the wheel. So the guilt of that. And then of course the mind tricks that we play, that, well, oh, now I'm mad because it was my parents that said I had to be home at a certain time, and then they weren't even home. So then you see how when you deal with one piece of the situation, these other little hot spots pop up. So like you said, it is like whack-a-mole, but stay with one mole throughout that session, and then know that, oh, there's still more to deal with. So when I sit down next time, I'll go back to that moment and see which one pops up, which one's ready to be released, and then we do the movement until either we feel like we've just reached our limit, or until we actually feel the full release. But every time, even if we have to go back and do it a dozen times, every time we do it, the heat or the charge of it reduces just a little bit. The first time we do it, sometimes we have a big emotional reaction. So don't be surprised if you suddenly have tears, or if you have flushes of anger, or other really intense emotions, sorrow. So different feelings will come up as you process it out. That means it's working. So don't be afraid of that. But also don't try to force your way through any of it. So, any more questions? All right, good questions, good clarifications. So let's...
I have a question.
Oh, sure.
Is there a particular speed you're doing this at?
No, it's however fast is comfortable for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, you don't want to rush through it. You don't go get dizzy. And you don't have to go super slow. And again, as far as you turn your neck, that's how far is comfortable for you. Don't, we're not trying to stretch, in other words. Even if you can only do little micro movements, that's fine. It still works. So I'm going to put on some Zazen music. And we'll just do one song. So sit up nice and straight. Bring that moment to mind. That feeling. And then we will begin. And we use music more as a timer in this case. So you don't have to use music. Come back to present. Allowing that line to snap. So this is a practice, as I said, you can do intensively with long-held attachments, long-held energetic structures in your being. And sometimes there's something that happens in the moment and you notice that it just stuck with you. So you can do a real quick one and let it go. Like maybe something happens on your way to work and it's still rolling around your head and you're in the parking lot and about to go into work. You can use this technique to really quickly process what just happened and then let it go. And that way you don't have to let it compound and interact with similar attachments and become another structure in your being. So does that make sense? So play with this technique, add it to your toolbox. Again, it's not a replacement for meditation. It's in addition to. I would classify this as one of our contemplation tools. So first we notice through our mindfulness of just paying attention, we notice patterns, and then we make a note of those patterns, and we contemplate what's behind those patterns, and then this is a technique that we can use to actually release the energy behind that pattern.